Hey guys, it's Seth from Mid-South Overland. Just figured I'd come to y'all today and give you a long-term review on these KM3s. I've had them for about 2 years now, and about 30,000 miles, and just wanted to let y'all know how they perform for me, so then you can make a informed decision when you're buying them for yourself. We're just going to start with a quick summary, I guess. So 2 years ago, roundabout is when I bought this truck. It came with some Cooper all-terrains on it, and just for where I live and where I mostly do my trips and everything, that just wouldn't do. I needed some mud terrains, especially for the Ozarks, and also locally here in Mississippi. So 2 years ago, I bought these tires and got them mounted. They obviously look very aggressive. The BFGoodrich tires have a great sidewall pattern on them. They performed very well in many aspects for me, and I guess we can just get into the pros and cons that I've noticed over the last 30,000 miles and 2 years of ownership of these tires, and just let y'all know what I think. So first thing we're going to talk about is the on-road performance. So on the road, as far as tire noise, they really haven't been that bad. I've had a set of these on this truck and also on a 99 Tacoma that I had previously. I also had a set of BFGoodrich KO2s on a Silverado that I had in the past as well. And for a mud tire, they're really not that loud. I've got plenty of friends that have other kinds of mud tires, and I've never noticed them just being overly loud in the cab. Nothing that really ever got on my nerves. They've obviously gotten louder as they've gotten worn, like every other kind of tire does, but never to a point where it really ever got on my nerves, or my passengers for that matter. Second thing with on-road performance, in the wet, I would say that they don't do particularly well in the wet, like most mud tires also, because they don't have siping on them like most mud tires do. I've never been in a situation where I've been scared per se while driving in wet conditions. You can just notice that coming from a stoplight, you can't just really step on the gas pedal. It will start to slip. Also, another con would be the icy road conditions. Here in Mississippi, we don't get very much snow or ice. Maybe once a really good snow or ice storm every 2 or 3 years. We so happen to got one of those this year. I drove around in the snow and ice quite a lot, looking for people that needed assistance getting recovered. I pulled a 18-wheeler off of the road because his brakes were locked up, but that's another story for another day. They do not do particularly well compared to something like an all-terrain tire in the ice and snow. They just yet again, lack of siping. Like we already know, mud tires just don't particularly perform well in those kinds of circumstances. So I wouldn't really say that's much of a con for me in my specific situation where I live and where I primarily go to do my trips and everything in Arkansas. Dry road performance, no complaints there for me. I've never, felt like I didn't have enough grip on the road. They've never, gotten on my nerves in any way when it was dry out. And there's no complaints there. For day-to-day driving, no complaints at all. The only thing that I would say, and people can battle it out in the comments, people will talk about it all day long, a low range E tire is a heavy tire, and it's a heavy duty tire, and that's something that I chose to do whenever I bought these, was to get a low range E tire for the added protection on the sidewall in particular, and where the tread are, because I just don't want to be in a situation out in the middle of nowhere where with a lighter tire that I pop a tire on a rock or something and have to get the spare out and everything. on the road, you do notice that a little bit, just a little bit rougher riding than your low range C tires, 6-ply tires, stuff like that. But that's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make personally, and I'm sure a lot of you are as well, for that added protection. All right, so now we're going to talk about what is a lot of people's main concerns when they're buying a off-road tire for overlanding, and that is tread life. So these tires here, like I said earlier, I've had them for 2 years, 30,000 miles, and I would say right now they've got about 60% of the tread left on them, and which is really good for a off-road tire, especially a mud tire that has seen a lot of miles on and off-road. I mean, I really do beat the crap out of these tires, and they've gone to Colorado and back. They go to Arkansas and back regularly. 30,000 miles, you just can't ask for much better as far as the tires actually holding up themselves, and they still have plenty of life left in them. So now we're going to talk about what everybody wants to know when it comes to an off-road tire. How does it perform off-road? This tire, in my opinion, has performed exceptionally in anything that I've thrown at it. In the mud, this tire cleans out and it bites the terrain, whereas other tires I've seen, mostly all-terrain, some other mud terrains, in the mud will clog up, won't be able to find grip. Some other people may have to back up and reassess, try again, where these tires have always taken me right through anything that I've pointed them at. Also, in the sand. Last summer in Colorado, we took this truck to the Great Sand Dunes National Park. We drove on the trail that goes next to the sand dunes, and these tires, even though they're a mud tire, hooked up just fine. I was never spinning. I never felt like I needed more traction, or I never felt like they were just digging me into a hole. Now, part of that is just knowing how to drive in sand, and but I also credit that to these tires as well. They did phenomenally, and I can't complain about it at all. Also, another type of terrain that these tires have excelled at are rocks. Every rock ledge, every boulder, every rough rocky trail that I've taken these down, since I've been aired down on all of these trails, this tire, with the technology that BFGoodrich has built into it, has flexed over all the rocks, all the steps, and everything, bites down, claws its way over. And you can see that in previous videos that I posted as well. Also, in the regular dirt, these tires have just performed well. Regular trail riding, regular gravel roads, Forest Service roads, that kind of thing. I've never had any issues with them. I've been very, very impressed over my 2 years and 30,000 miles with these tires with the way that they perform for me. The only thing that I can say about them off-road that they didn't exceptionally perform at was the snow. And just when it's 15 degrees outside and the tires are cold, there's ice on the trail, there's a thin layer of snow covering everything, I can't blame the tires too much for that, but I will mention that I did have to give a little bit more of my lead foot, I would say, maybe a little bit more beans, to get through some things just because it was a little bit more slippery. And maybe that's because, again, like we said earlier, the lack of siping on mud terrain tires. But it's also just a hard situation to be in off-road. But overall off-road, I can say nothing but good things about these tires. They've held up very well. I've never been stranded. I've never punctured anything. The only thing that I can say about them is there have been some cuts. There have been slight, just little bitty chunks, I would say. And I do use and abuse these tires. I use and abuse everything on this truck. I do take care of it, but things do happen. And I will say I rotate these tires every 2,500 miles. I'm very adamant about that. I try to keep all that in check, just like oil changes, tires. I try to keep that maintenance just, right where it needs to be. and because I don't want any reason for these tires to wear unevenly that could have been, you know, prevented by me. Now I will say, when I'm on a trip such as the one that we did in Colorado and also in Arkansas all the time, there's times where we hit, you know, an actual road in between some of our trails, and I never air up when that happens, because I don't want to go through all the hassle of airing down, airing back up, airing down again, airing back up. You know, it's just such a waste of time. And so I could, you know, attribute probably some of the cuts and chunks that have came off this tire to maybe me abusing these tires a little bit there. All right, so here I'm going to show you some of those cuts and chunks that I was telling you about. So you can see right here, it's actually happened a couple weeks ago. I showed in a previous video that there was a cut that I made in the Ouachita National Forest, and I believe this is one of them. And about a year later, this little chunk here just decided to fly off. And while we're on the topic of cuts and chunks out of the tire, I figured I'd just go ahead and show you a couple others right here. Here's a little tear. Not sure when that happened, just saw that one day and now it's lived with me ever since. Here's another little chunk right here. Again, not really sure when or where that happened. And then also right here on the sidewall, there's a slight little tear right there. All right, so just to recap, there are positives and negatives to every tire. This tire, however, I would say the pros definitely outweigh the cons for me. These tires have performed very well, and I would recommend them to anybody. While there are cuts and there are, you know, those little bitty chunks that I showed you that are missing out of these tires, I can't entirely blame that on the tire. With me, you know, rolling down the street sometimes with 20 psi in these tires, you know, doing 45 miles an hour, just because I didn't want to get out of the truck and air back up and air back down when I got back to the trail. All I can say is positive things about these tires, other than those few things that I mentioned. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below, or feel free to message me on any of my socials. I'll try to answer you as quickly as I can. And stay tuned, because we've got some more videos coming up. I'm going to start editing together some of the trips that I've done, and some future trips that I'm going to be doing this year as well. And I'm going to release more long-form videos in the future. So if you haven't, please subscribe, like, comment, and I appreciate you for watching.